Hello and welcome to Hunter Fuel, a supernatural rewatch podcast for adults who enjoy their show with a chaser. I'm Liz.
And I'm Lynn.
Thank you so much for joining us for season 2, episode 18. No, it's not Babylon 5, it's Hollywood Babylon. We
Woo!
model responsible drunkenness here. All participants are way over 21. No one is pregnant. No one will be driving, operating heavy machinery, handling weapons, or faking our own deaths for the publicity. If you're playing along with us, those are the rules. If you decide not to follow them and you do something stupid, don't blame us. Lynn, what are you drinking this evening?
I decided to carry on from what I was drinking at dinner tonight. So,
Okay.
AKA, I pre-gamed. Glass of wine.
All right. Wine it is. In honor of Tara, the and her Snapple, the featured cocktail for this episode is a sweet peach tea. It is 1 ounce each of whiskey and peach schnapps and 1 cup of brewed iced tea. Stir that in a Collins glass with some ice and enjoy.
Ooh.
Producer Mark, could you bring up our supernatural game cards for us, please? What do you think? I am once
Now,
again not terribly excited.
now, and it's funny. I each week now I try to guess what your cocktail is going to be, or at least the theme, and I couldn't have been more wrong if I tried.
Yeah, throughout the episode, there are a couple of times when a PA delivers to Tara a diet Snapple, a diet peach Snapple. So I'm like, there must be an alcoholic version thereof, and I want it. All right. Well, as always, the first one is on the house. Let's see how this non-Snapple peach tea is. That one is not bad.
Well, that's a good thing.
That is not bad. You you're making a face like, oh, better you than me.
Funny thing is, it's so not. As I said, I was just so expecting it to be something like Hollywood or Bollywood or something like that. So when you said iced tea, I was like, really?
Well, it's a boozy iced tea. Oh. All right.
True.
Well, let's let's see how we do with these cards of ours. So if you're playing along with us, there is a link to generate a card of your own in the link tree. If you saw the episode we did for Heart, you may have noticed that we ended a little abruptly. So we had a power outage here at Hunter Fuel, and we are just really grateful that it didn't knock out our recording until we were almost done, and I'd actually finished a sentence. So, so we were really happy that the electricity waited to crap out on us. So if you saw that, that's why. Also, big news coming out of the Philadelphia Zoo this week. A few weeks ago, they announced the arrival of Sam and Dean Zoochester, their demon fighting uh, hedgehog brothers, working to rid the world from lack of cuteness. Well, we didn't even have to wait 4 years for it, but they have a new ally. That's right. Castiel has arrived.
Yay!
Thank goodness for the Philadelphia Zoo. Some
That is
some of the
awesome.
some of the zookeepers are part of the family, and we are so excited to see. see pictures. So if you want to see them alive and in person and are in the neighborhood, stop by the Philadelphia Zoo. Otherwise, you can follow them on social and see the pictures for your very own self. But with that, let's get this show on the road. So we are starting right out. Once again, there is no then. So we go right into the now, and they are pulling out every horror movie trope in the book. We've got the swinging porch swing, we've got the lady alone in the woods, all the creepy noises. Um, so it's starting out sort of like we would expect a cold open to start, and we're waiting for the monster of the week to drag this lady along. And I have to say, so she just came around the side of the building, and round about here, I'm like, okay, I know we're getting close to the end of the season here. They had to have run out of budget for the set because this is a pretty hokey looking set. And
Yes,
sure,
yes, it is.
we've got the jump scare. She's trying to find her sister. This is Brody here. He's screaming, "Nope, I'm out. This is terrible." Um, we've got the monster POV, the camera moving through the woods. And camera comes right around into her face, and she lets out this god
Pathet
awful
awful.
scream, and it's at some point you can see it in her face. She knows it's awful. Go back, and there's the camera, the real camera in her face, and we see that she's filming a movie. So we're like, okay, so we're not watching the supernatural cold open after all, or are we? The cold open is them on a movie set making a movie. This actor here, his name is Reagan Burns. He is playing McG, who was a real director. He directed Charlie's Angels, among many other things, and he is a producer on Supernatural. So this is not McG in person. This is an actor playing McG. We've got a son of a bitch. There's a ton of folks in here. He drops this little line about when Ivan and the FX guys are done, it's gonna look terrifying. Ivan Hayden in real life was the special effects supervisor on Supernatural. So we've got some meta moments right off the bat, which we will look for. We have a son of a bitch. Um, in between takes, this this guy comes up. He's a little grizzly looking, and he starts telling them the set is haunted. And, as soon as his shift is done, he is out. Here we've got Tara and her diet peach tea. And they're like, yeah, that guy's a whack job.
Yeah.
Cut back to Tara. She's now on the set by herself. She's gotten a note from the director that it's all great, but could she maybe dial that scream up a little bit? She's like, I know, I know. So here she is. She's practicing her scream. And she starts to hear something a little funky. So she's looking around. She assumes somebody's playing some practical jokes on her. And so we've got this shot of her walking through the set. You can start to see like the scaffolding and things.
Yeah.
And long kind of pause where she's trying to figure out what's happening here. But you can see she's starting to get a sense that like somebody's watching her. Hat falls down at her feet. She looks up, and here is Frankie hanging from the wires. We've got a real scream from her this time. And there's McGee. He's like, now that's what I'm talking about. Now you've got it. So I'm going to pause this here on our title screen here. So yeah, Frankie, guess he wasn't kidding. The place really is haunted. And he was like that was Ooh, he was pretty grisly. And just for a second, there was a kind of a spectral figure behind him. So we
Mm,
are looking for a son of a bitch and a meta moment slash fourth wall break. Let's see if either one of us has
yes.
one of
Either one.
those. Not hopeful here. No,
No.
nope.
Uh,
Bubkiss. Well, that's this.
nope. I'm not. Nope.
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 Well, we are not off
Now,
to a great start here. Go ahead.
now, did you also happen to recognize the actor in between her and the guy that just died?
I
The
did
actor.
not.
So, I kept meaning to Google him, but I completely forgot to Google the actor's name. He was on Chesapeake Shores. He was
Oh,
one of
okay.
the which I which is unfortunately no longer on, but I watched all the way through, and he was one of the O'Brien siblings.
Okay. All right. So one of your lovey-dovey shows he was on.
Yes, yes, yes. One of my, I was very disappointed when that show ended.
Yeah, well, and I'm certain you were not alone, but uh it's always kind of funny to see, these actors from other shows. Like you see them when they were younger and you're like, "Oh, look. Oh, look who it is."
Yeah,
Okay. So here he is in this playing Brody.
yeah,
And there's
yeah.
there's going to be a bunch of people we're going to call out here. There's some recognizable actors in this episode.
Yeah, well, like the gentleman that plays, like I know you and I were talking about this before we started recording. The gentleman that plays the director, I know
Yes.
I've seen him in something, and I can't figure out what the heck it is.
Yeah, his name is Reagan Burns. I looked at his IMDb and there wasn't kind of a character actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff for one episode, but nothing. I tend to not call them out unless they were a recurring actor or it was a recurring role on a series.
Yeah,
So nothing jumped out at me as being like he's just a journeyman actor, again, our character actor. All right.
yeah.
With that, we're gonna hit play. Hopefully we'll have better luck in the
I was
next
like,
section.
hopefully, one of you guys actually had one of those two.
Indeed. Indeed. All right. So come to the studio lot. This is the back lot. Here comes a little tourist tram. We've got Sam and Dean in the little tram, and Dean is grinning all over himself about all of the horror films that have filmed. And there's this little mention of this is where the show Gilmore Girls is filmed, and we might even catch one of the show's stars. At which point, Sam looks uncomfortable and bails out because Jared was on Gilmore Girls as Dean. There's also a little mention of Lois and Clark. Which, was a Superman show, just like Smallville, which Jensen was on for a season. So here they are. They've now bailed out of their little tourist tram, and they are walking around the lot. And there's a lot of crazy stuff that's it. I'm not gonna be able to call it all out, but I will do my best as these little things pop up. But if you keep your eyes peeled, there's a lot of Easter eggs in this one. So come to find out, this is, Sam is trying to work um for this haunted set, and Dean is like, we're in LA, let's, it's a vacation, after everything that happened with Madison, you could use a little R&R. And he's like, no, I want to take my mind off it, I want to work. So
But
they're
Dean is
talking.
having a blast
Oh yeah.
on this set. It's like you may not want a little R&R, but I want to enjoy the fact that we're on a freaking movie set. So come
I
on.
do, and they're supposedly in LA, and it's because it's really Vancouver. It's pissing rain, and
Mhm.
the boys are damp, Lynn. Um, and and they're like, "This isn't exactly swimming pool weather. It's practically Canadian." But Sam says the magic word, the person who found the body is Tara Benchley. And Dean is like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I've got a little crush on Miss Tara Benchley. She's very talented." They break into the set. This actor here is Gary Cole. And you know what? I am going to pause this just for a second because we've got Gary Cole, who back in Salvation in season one, there was a reference to the show Midnight Caller, which was written, produced, and directed by Supernatural executive producer Robert Singer. Gary Cole was the lead actor on that show. So Robert Singer gave him a call and said, "Hey, want to come play with us?" Because honestly, he is too big of a star to be in this episode in this role.
Now,
But he's playing his
isn't he also on, no,
probably.
maybe isn't he also on Grey's Anatomy, or am I thinking of somebody else?
I didn't I didn't see Grey's Anatomy for him. Although there were a lot of actors on Grey's
Oh, no,
Anatomy who
not
also
sorry, not Grey's Anatomy, Chicago Med.
Chicago Fire. You are very close. Chicago Fire. Right now, he's on NCIS, and
Okay,
he's
then no,
been
I'm thinking of someone completely different. Wonder what
he's
he
been in just an absolute ton of stuff, including Office Space, The Good Wife, Veep, one of my favorite shows of all time, Chuck. He's just been in everything. The actor he's talking to is Don Stark, who was on that 70s show. So these are two, again, very recognizable actors here. But Brad is playing the studio exec, or Gary Cole is playing Brad, the studio exec. And these notes that he's giving here are notes that the show actually received, most notably about it being too dark. Like we've talked about that
Yes.
here on this podcast. Okay, I'm gonna hit play. So, Sam and Dean walk in, and again, here's Brad saying, like, "Who says horror has to be dark?" He spots Dean and he says, "Hey, you, green shirt, come here." He thinks Dean is a PA and he's sending him to go get a smoothie from craft services. And Dean is like, What?" And Sam right away realizes, "Oh no, this is the perfect opportunity for us to pretext and be able to walk around this set without getting picked up." Dean says, "What's a PA?" And Sam says, "I think they're kind of like slaves." So the productions assistant are like they get stuff done. They're sort of
Yeah.
the unnamed invaluable people on set who keep things running. Dean's back from Crafty with his smoothies. And there's this I love this little moment here where he sets down the tray. He's just starting to walk up the stairs. He pulls out an EMF detector, which we will check for, and all of a sudden the lights all change. This slate that they put here is for Hellhaezers 2, The Reckoning. It lists
Mm,
the camera as Serge L, which is obviously Serge Laducier, their
mm,
cinematographer, director of
yeah.
photography. Um, and I just this look on Dean's face, all of a sudden, like you see him fall in love with making movies, which he has to kind of put
Yeah.
aside. And he goes up into the catwalks where Tara had seen the poor dead Frankie.
Mhm. Nothing.
EMF detector is dead as a doornail. It's doing nothing.
Oh, who?
Cut to, the actors now. They're filming away. Um, we've got Dean Eats, because he's just discovered Oh, you know what the one benefit of being a PA is? The food, and
Food.
I love what he does with this little mini cheesesteak, like, his performance is like, "They're delicious," and he just starts, like, shoving them in his face.
Yeah, I love the
It's
steaks,
like,
like, hanging out of his mouth. It's like
"What?" He's just tearing into this thing. Um, he's making sure to tell everybody how wonderful they are, and Sam is like, "No, thank you." Sam starts to say, "You know what? I can't find anything on this Frankie guy, but 4 other people have either died horrifically or committed suicide here in the set." Dean is like,
and
"Ah,
Dee's like, "Don't care."
don't care, Tara." He heads after Tara. He grabs some pages from an assistant walking by, and he just fanboys adorably here. So we've got we've got Dean checking out a woman, and I love Tara's response that she like has no time for another PA until she gets a look at him. And then she's like, "Oh, oh hi."
Hi.
Now she's all smiles. He says, "I love you in Boogeyman," and she's like, "Oh God, what a terrible script." Guess who
But
wrote Boogeyman? Eric Kripke.
okay.
Uh,
But yeah,
uh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I love how just the eyes and I love her reactions here. It's like
Like, "Oh."
of her of like, oh yeah, and then he tries to bring up the accident, the death, and she's like, yeah, it was about how horrible it was and how the blood was coming from everywhere, and it's like, it, I don't know, this her reaction. I can't decide whether I love it or whether it's kind of off acted. I've gone back and forth on this one.
I will say this honestly, I don't there's another peach tea. I don't think her performance is that great. I will
No,
say, like, and there's a lot of really talented people in this episode, and she does not rise to the top of the pack, I will say. I think her performance could use some notes. Uh, she does, however, Dean is asking her, did she know Frankie? And she says no, but she's got this book of Polaroids. And this is a nod to Jensen has photography, like it's a hobby of his. And so he, in between takes, took a lot of photos on set. So it's this little nod to him and his little hobby. I shouldn't say little hobby because he went on to direct. So it's obviously it's something he has um some real talent
talented.
in.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so get
So
to
now
here's
so
Frankie, but
now we
Frankie's not
gonna
Frankie.
say I was gonna say he's very much alive.
Frankie is very much alive, and turns out he was hired by the studio to fake his death to drum up some publicity for the movie. And he's like, "Oh, it's all about new media," which is kind of amusing that, now 20 years later, we're not calling it new media anymore. Um, but he's saying like, "Oh, it's just a part." I love these photos he's got on the wall of himself in different roles. They're hilarious. So he's a dinner theater actor. And he gives Dean a coupon for a free pepper steak if he comes to the dinner show.
But
Uh,
I love how when he said when they go, well, don't you think it's going to kind of kill the publicity when you show up at the next thing very much alive? And he's like, but it's a totally different character. It's like,
different
dude, you're missing the point.
Yeah,
You're
might be a different
supposed to
character.
You still ain't dead.
You still look like you. Yes. I do think it like again, like we're getting this sense that like Dean is he's really a horror movie nerd. Like he recognized this guy as like, you know, uh Demon Killer number 4 or something in the back. So now, Lynn, you potentially recognize this actor here who plays Mitch. Hang on, he's going to be on screen in a second. His name is Torrance Coombs, and he was in both Rain and Heartland. Um,
So, and
so I,
actually, you and I had it confused. I had it confused. It wasn't this guy that I recognized. It was this one right here.
Gary Cole.
No, the gentleman on screen, right? Hold on, I'll
Yeah.
pause it. Hold
Okay.
on. So the one on your left.
Yeah, that's the guy we were talking about.
Yeah,
That's
that one
it
right there.
it's not the guy we were talking about,
Earlier.
before we started recording. I thought we were
Correct.
talking about Gary Cole, because that
Yeah,
guy's
no,
been
no.
in everything. This
Yeah,
guy is the one I was saying earlier playing McG,
yeah.
I didn't see anything he had been in more than an episode or so.
Yeah, and see, I
Um
feel like I've seen him in something and I can't put my finger on it, and it's
Couldn't tell you
driving.
what it could possibly be, because according to his IMDb, he hasn't done anything more than a guest role here or there.
Yeah.
So here we've got studio executive. He spots this lady, and I think this is a pretty cool effect here, actually.
Yeah.
That so we've got this lady in like the black and white. She's got some rope marks around her neck, and she does that creepy like a jump
Yeah.
walk thing. So I think this is a great effect with her. So he's
Mhm.
like, I don't love it until she takes off her robe, and suddenly he's had a change of heart. She walks up the stairs here. This is a great shot from her feet to his face through the stairs. I think that's
Mhm.
really clever. And he's like, oh, hey, wait up. Um, we just saw Don Stark, his character, doing a golf swing in the back. I'm going to come back to that. But cut to here comes the studio exec. He just drops right through the ceiling. He's hanging. I love this little shot here of his Bluetooth earpiece hitting the floor. I think that's clever.
Yeah.
And that little I'm gonna pause it here on the black screen, that little, like, twitch that he does, I think that's a great performance from him,
Mhm.
and,
Yes.
um, so, just like that, um, we've got a genuine jump scare, not the cheesy fake jump scare from the grade B horror flick, but like a real and it's not, how do I say this? It's not a cheap jump scare, like, they
No.
earn it.
Yeah, no, it's a genuine, like, there was some actual acting involved there.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
I
really
could
happy with that.
I couldn't come up with a better way to say that one. There's that actually there was
Excuse me.
some grade A acting there versus some
Yeah,
grade C.
yeah. Great. Okay, let's while we're paused here, let's take a look. We need an EMF detector
That one I
and
actually have.
I think I have it too. Let's see here. I could have sworn I saw it earlier. I know you're here somewhere. Um, Here it is, EMF detector and Dean eats or drinks. So I actually have both of those.
Oh, and didn't we also have Dean checks out or hits on a woman?
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Let's see if I've got that one
I have
too.
that one. Uh,
No, that one I don't have. So I just have 2 of the 3.
okay.
All right.
Alrighty, well, cheers.
Cheers. Mm. And you know what?
Yeah,
Because
I
I
will
got
say one
totally
of my big debates with this episode is trying to figure out
I got chipped last time, so I'm having 2. Go ahead.
okay,
Big debates this episode.
is these, because there are a couple of times where I feel like it's overacted.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, are the actors just not capable of better performances, or is it scripted that way? And if it's scripted that way, come on, Supernatural, you're better than that, in my opinion.
So
Like,
here's my question. When you notice the overacting, because there's two things happening here, right? Like you've
right,
got the episode we are watching and you have the film they're making.
right.
So is so when you see the overacting, is it in the movie they're making or is it
No,
in okay. So the only one I would say I personally didn't care for was Tara Benchley. I'd say I found her performance to be a little lackluster. Um,
and the one that I also thought, there's something about his performance that just annoys me to
who's that?
all end, is the executive producer for, like, the one that I keep thinking I've seen him in something and I can't put
Oh,
my finger on. His performance just annoys the crap out of me. Like, I
so
feel like he just takes it up just too high. It's like, come on, dial it back just a
and
lot.
so this is something I don't know the answer to. This is me wondering, is he's playing a real live person. He's not playing a character. I mean, he's playing a
Right.
character, but the character is a real live person that the people on set know and interact with. So what I don't know is if this is a so first of again, you're entitled to your opinion on this. I didn't personally get a feeling of him like overacting. Um, I if and this is I've never met McG in person.
Right.
So what I don't know is if the people on the set would recognize McG in his performance. I
Now,
don't know the
I
answer.
understood exactly where you're going for, and I will admit, I didn't realize that that was a genuine person, and not
Yeah, it's an Easter
knowing,
egg.
yeah, and he- not knowing his personality.
Me
Is it
neither.
a true oh, where's the word I'm looking for? Description, or that's not the right word, but you know
Is it
what
a
I
good
mean.
likeness of his
Y-
personality? I can't tell you.
Not a, yeah.
So yeah, that's if we ever have the opportunity, we'll have to
Yeah, but
we'll have to
no,
ask
just
somebody who's met McG. So,
but yeah, so
McG, if you're watching this, we would love to have you on.
yeah.
Last thing I'm going to mention before we hit play is I had pointed out the actor Don Stark is he's playing a producer on the movie that's being made. And every time you see him, he'll be like practicing his golf swing in the background. That's a nod to to Robert Singer, who is an avid golfer. And when he would direct, he would in between takes, he would be practicing his golf swing. So that's uh, there's a ton of stuff. So this is written by Ben Edlund, who just has a very quirky sense of humor. So there's a lot of inside jokes in this episode that are kind of taking the Mickey out of people. So that's one of them. All right, hitting play. Here we are, coming out of the commercial break here to a close up of this stuffed deer head that we see all the time. They're coming into this set, and um, this is Tara Benchley playing Wendy. Here's Mitch. Mitch is alive. So again, this is Torrance Coombs, excuse me, Rain Hartland and the Tudors. And they're like, "Yay, everyone's alive." But yeah, they're just continuing on, and it was like, we had a moment of silence at breakfast, it's just a suit, It's only a studio guy. We don't care about those. Um, Tara's saying she's asking for somebody to call cut. McGee is gonna make this little like, I'm the only one who gets to call cut. Meanwhile, Dean,
Gene
who's
is still stuffing his face.
stuffing his face with these little taquitos, and which I gotta say, good choice, Dean. Taquitos are delicious.
Yeah.
But Tara's having a little trouble with this, like, really? Salt to scare away demons? And Dean's like, if you only knew, sister. And so, but he's got the full headset, like he has embraced his role as PA here. Um, she's having a little trouble with the lines. She's having a little trouble kind of proceeding with this guy just having killed himself in the set the day before. Um somebody says shotguns, and the writer is like, "Ah, I don't know about that, makes less," or the director, sorry, he's like, "That makes even less sense." And Dean is like, au contraire, mon frere." Uh,
I
but
was
here
like,
comes
I love that comment with the two of them sitting like right there, like, oh, if they could only speak their minds.
if they only knew. If these people only knew. But Dean is completely buying into this. So like Sam comes over, and Dean's only like half listening to him because he's got his headset on. But Brad, the studio exec, he's very, very dead. And Sam is trying to kind of get Dean to focus on the case they're actually working. And Dean's like, "Hey, I guess it's a good thing we didn't skip town after all." Uh, there he says, "Hey, Sam, you gotta come hear this." He comes over to the sound guy and he's like, "Hey, can you play that thing that you played for me?" Dean's starting to really get into like all the gossip on set. He knows all the people, he's making connections. Sam puts the headset on and they can hear this electronic voice phenomenon,
Yeah.
which is we also heard that in Roadkill, with Greeley coming over the radio. So some reason this is a legit haunting now. So they
Yep,
decide
and
they want to go ahead. You know
sorry.
what? I'm going to pause this. Go ahead, Lynn.
I was gonna say, finally we get a serious look at a Dean.
Fine. Yes, Dean is now paying attention. I've paused this. There's a person pushing a rack of clothing past Sam and Dean, and on it is the wardrobe that Jared and Jensen wear when they're filming. So Sam's and Dean's clothes get pushed past Sam and Dean. Then next to them is this person on this tiny, tiny little scooter. Jared and Jensen had these little child-sized dirt bikes that they would ride around set. Keep in mind how tall these motherfuckers are. This
I was thinking that. I'm like, what are their like knees in in their elbows or something like that? To like,
these are in
ow.
their ears, and they're like, meow, meow. So, all right, I'm gonna hit play. I just wanted to, like I said, the stuff comes fast and furious in this episode. I'm gonna try to keep up. But yeah,
No,
like this
no,
this lady,
no pun intended.
indeed, indeed. They hop into this trailer here, and this is somebody's trailer. It's pretty nice. It's got a DVD player. Dean's got the dailies. Uh Cindy, who's got this thing going on with Drew, and Drew dubbed an extra copy for them. So they're watching the recording, and Sam notices that when Brad drops through the ceiling, uh, short short drop and a sudden stop, that there
Mhm.
is somebody, there's a figure in the recording, and it's
Yep.
this lady we saw in the robe. I think this is pretty improbable, but from this very grainy sort of um off angle fuzzy shot, Sam says, "Hey, I think I recognize her." Like,
Come on, how the
you know,
hell?
this is the alligator belly scale from Tall Tales all over
Yeah,
again. So,
yeah. The
in
how?
fairness, he there were only 4 people who died. Also, Dean's identified himself as Ozzy, so these calls for Ozzy coming over the headset. Um, so there's only
I
4 people
love
who died on set, but yeah, this is a stretch. I'm like, "Come on." They could have had a better they could have had a better image for him to identify. Lynn, I see you've paused it. Go ahead.
yeah, I loved when he's talking on the and you just see Sam shaking his head like, "Dear God, dude,
Really?
come on." Like, Sam, I feel like I don't know whether Sam's just losing his patience or like cannot believe that his brother has gotten himself so wrapped up in being a PA or what, but it's
Mm.
just that little head shake just seriously cracked me up.
Yeah. Who are you and what have you done with my brother?
Yeah.
Which I will say I think is something that's really kind of fun about this episode is that Dean Dean has this like tough guy facade, and the second he gets onto the set of this horror film, it that facade is gone. You
Yep.
know, and like this is nerdy Dean at his absolute best, that it's like he can't he's so excited to be in this place where like legendary terrible horror films have been made, that he can't hold this facade up. So it's something I think is pretty fun about this episode.
I would say this is the Dean's version of Kid in a Candy Store.
It Yes. Yeah, and he's stuffing all the candy into his face all the time,
Yeah.
which we're gonna
Yeah.
talk about more in a little bit. Uh, all
I
right,
say
ready to move on, or was there something else you
yes.
wanted to
No,
okay,
nope. I'm really trying not to cut you off every 30 seconds.
yeah, I know
I'm not always
with us watching it live, sometimes it's tough. Um, but what Sam says is he's miraculously with his super Sam eyes spotted this actor who had an affair with a studio exec, and that guy kind of used her and threw her away, and so she killed herself in the middle of the set by hanging, just like just like Mr. Brad uh
yeah.
from the studio. Cut to so here we are back to um
Our also fa- favorite place, aka the cemetery.
we're in the cemetery, and they're in a wacky Hollywood cemetery with these kind of
The
crazy
egg
gravestones of Humpty Dumpty,
Dumpty.
and there's a some kind of guitar shredder guy. So they think their ghost is Elise Drummond, this starlet, and they're hoping that if they salt and burn, that this is going to solve the haunting problem on set. Again, perfectly rectangular grave with 90-degree corners that they're digging by
It,
hand for shovels.
yeah, in lightning speed.
Yeah, oh yeah, they are the fastest grave diggers in the West. But here we are with Jay. I think his name is Jay. I forgot to write it down. I just know the actor's name is Don Stark. And you can see kind of how two-faced he is, that when he's on the phone with people, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're the best. You're kicking ass and taking names." Hangs up. What a dick. So he's on the phone with Bob, which may be a nod to Bob Singer, to Robert Singer. Um, and uh, yeah, I do have it here. Look at me. I'm being all prepared and shit. His name is Jay, which I wonder if it's a nod to Jay Gruska, the composer. It might not be. But excuse me. He again starts to hear some noise on set.
Yeah,
Cut back to the boys in the graveyard. We do have burn a body, which we
yeah,
will look for the next time that we pause. I do love this kind of matchbook on matchbook strike here. That's kind of fun. They're not throwing away an expensive lighter, which is nice.
but
Um,
again, they one of these times I keep waiting for them to light that thing, have it like have the wind shift and have
yeah,
it blow it out while they're sitting there staring at it. It's like,
I know. Like,
light it, chuck
gotta get the shot. Chuck it
it.
sooner, chuck it sooner. Yeah, but they can't get the shot if I chuck it sooner. Here comes Jay through the set. He spots this guy, and he's like, "Hey, would you turn the lights off? Somebody could get hurt here." Dude turns around and his head is a plate of spaghetti. It's
Yeah,
awful. Fan clips on one of those big, um, like industrial fans that they
yeah,
have on set. Jay starts trying to get away, but something is dragging him backwards into this fan, and he's screaming and
he's
he's struggling. You hear the fan running, and you know this is going nowhere good.
good.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
producer Jay goes through the fan, and that is a
Uh, that is a
lumpy,
gratuitous blood splatter to end all.
oh, a lumpy one.
Oh God. Ugh.
Okay, so we're gonna pause it here. We've got burn a body, a gratuitous blood spatter, and you know what? Back a little bit, somebody said Yahtzee. We no longer have Yahtzee as one of our squares. So RIP Yahtzee. We miss you. Okay, burn a body, gratuitous blood spatter.
I have
See
a
what we've got
gratuitous
here.
blood splatter, and I
I
don't think I have Burner
think I
Body.
have.
Oh, I do have Burner Body.
I do. I
Yay!
have burn a body. I don't think I have a gratuitous blood spatter. Just taking a quick double check. And no, no, I do not. So, congratulations on your two. Cheers.
Cheers.
Mm.
But for a millisecond there, I thought the glass had actually missed my mouth and I was going to dump it right down my shirt. That would not have been a good look.
Indeed, indeed. Real quickly before I play, your comment about the wind blowing the matches out made me think, which is a horror movie trope in and of itself.
Yes.
Is, come on, come on, come on, trying to get the
Yeah.
match to light. Many years ago, I had taken a survival course. I was planning on doing some hiking and like camping, primitive camping with a friend, and I decided I did not want to be on one of those shows, and they survived. So
Mhm.
like, let me not be stupid about this. Let me take one of these survival classes. And they were talking about, like, lighting fires under emergency conditions, and the guy said, "If you are using matches, don't use matches, but if you're going to use matches and you only have, like, 1 or 2 matches left, always give it to the smoker, because smokers are better than anybody else at keeping a match lit in adverse conditions."
Yeah, because yeah, that sucker goes out, they can't have their cigarette.
Exactly. Like, they are highly motivated and they have lots of practice. So that was, the official the official survivalist's advice.
That's
Alright.
funny. That's funny.
Alright, I'm gonna hit play in a second here, but coming out of the black screen, we've got this green band, trailer for a movie, and it says, "The film advertised has not yet been rated," and then in tiny print under that, it reads, "Also not yet written, cast, shot, edited, or scored." But if you were watching this live and you were watching commercials, this would look like just another trailer.
Right.
And some of this is footage that we've seen. This is the shot of the deer with Tara coming into the room. We've got the Mr. Movie voiceover. We've got the squeaky porch swing that we saw in the
Mhm.
cold open. Like they're coming back again to settle the score
Or
again.
again.
We've also got some shots from um Bloodlust from Gordon. We've got some stuff we haven't seen yet. There's Cornfield Massacre and Monster Truck, which are shots from Route 666 and Scarecrow. They take a shot at McG from the director of Charlie's Angels. And this is the movie that they're making is Hellhazel's to the Reckoning, which we saw on the slide. The credits for that list Robert Ulrich, who was the real life casting director, Jerry Wanick, who was actually the production designer, and we've already mentioned DP Serge Ladissier and composer Jay Greska. So the credits there list a lot of people who were actually working on Supernatural. So now that they've had their second death,
Yeah.
the actor playing McG, so we've got the character
Yeah.
McG standing here. He calls a meeting, and behind Sam and Dean, this guy who just walked up behind them holding the slate, that's the real McG. Like, that is actually McG who's standing behind them. And somebody was like, "Oh, dude, you got lucky there. You were right in the shot." And he's like, "You think I don't know where the fucking camera is? Not an accident." Uh,
Funny as hell.
So he's given this little motivational speech that, just because we've had two people die, what they would want is for us to carry on, so we're gonna make this movie, but not today. Go home.
Someone will call you.
So yeah, yeah, eventually. And so cut to Sam and Dean back watching the dailies,
Yeah.
and
Sam looks like he's falling asleep.
well, yeah, he says he's been watching these dailies for about 6 hours and he hasn't found anything. They realize that ghost number two was cremated, so there's no body to burn. But cut to the scene that we saw them filming a little bit earlier, and she's reading this Latin incantation out of a big book because of course Latin incantations always come out of big dusty tomes in horror films. And all of a sudden Sam is like, "Holy shit."
Holy shit. I was gonna say that facial expression says it all.
Yep. That's a legitimate summoning. Like that's a necromantic summoning ritual. So we officially have a summoning ritual that we will look for. Um we've got a cut to the writer, and behind him is somebody with a razor blade trying to scrape Jay's name off of the door. There's a he's got movie posters in his office. One is for Carnivore Carnival, which has shots from Everybody Loves a Clown.
Oh my
And then
god.
of course the monster truck shot from Route 666, which we talked about
Yeah.
already. But they show up to talk to the writer. We've got an awesome. Excuse me, we've got
Oh,
3 awesomes, actually.
awesome. Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, your attention to detail in the script is amazing." And he's like, "Dude, we have a dude." Um, and he's like, "Oh, those Enochian summoning rituals." It wasn't Enochian, it was Latin, but we're moving on. And he's like, "Oh, no, that's Walter." So Walter Dixon, the original writer, who we've seen walking around set, and we assumed he was a PA. Come to find out, it was just part of his contract that they have to let him be on set. And he's like, the writer is like, yeah, I had to cut 90% of that script just to make it readable. They get an original copy of the script, and he's like, this is actually pretty good. Except for from Sam's perspective, it's like, "Yeah, this reads like a textbook on how to summon the dead, get them do whatever you want." Yeah, like, kill people. So, they piece it
I
together in that.
I love I love what the other guy said though in that other scene where he's like, "Yeah, I love attention to detail. I'm big in attention to detail," until you realize all the details they're actually interested in the other guy's details.
Yeah, or things that got cut out. So they realize this is gonna go badly here. And you know what? I'm gonna pause this a second. We've cut from the boys to now the writer talking to Walter. Um, so we have a seriously, we have an awesome, we have a summoning ritual, and we are, if we haven't gotten the lore already, we're about to.
I say,
Excuse me.
and we had a dude.
You're correct. We had a dude. Um, and you know what's crazy? Oh no, wait, I have a summoning ritual, which gives
I
me
have a
3 in a row.
dude. I have an awesome. I have a summoning ritual.
Oh, you are doing way better than I am. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot better than I thought I was going to.
Eh, I
Uh, I'll
I
take it.
I might. I
Oh,
know you're gonna
if
get.
I get a Sammy, I'll have 5 in a row.
I was just saying, I might potentially, I can't remember if there's one of these in here or not, but if I get someone gets knocked out, is that's my wild card. I will I have a potential here to get 5 in a row as well. So, all right, let's see. Let's see what happens here. So, cheers.
Cheers. I was gonna say, if this is the one episode that doesn't have a Sammy in it, I might be pissed.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Before we move on, um, one of the things that the writer was saying when he was on the phone when the boys walked in was he was making a comment about, pitch that time traveling thing or thing. So, amusingly enough, uh, Eric Kripke would go on to, in his post-Supernatural life, one of his projects was a time traveling series called Timeless. So I heard that, I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of funny." It's not a meta moment because he hadn't done it yet, um, but I do think it's funny that got mentioned in there. But back to hitting play. Here comes the writer whose name I could not be bothered to remember. Apologies. He's talking to Walter, and Walter's got a talisman, and he's complaining about how, he writes these, really like heartfelt, meaningful script, and Hollywood takes them and destroys them and turns them into dick and fart joke movies. So, keeping in mind Ben Edlund wrote this, I think this is kind of interesting that he's written a character that's a writer complaining about what Hollywood does to writers' scripts. But we've
Wow.
got a guy screaming his lungs out for once.
Yeah.
And here comes Spaghetti Face again. And
Yeah.
now
He's
the
about to
the
have a very bad day.
things are not looking good for a writer whose name I can't remember. and Walter is, like, grinning, like, "Yeah, yeah, throw him through the fan, throw him through the fan." And there's this great I love this shot where it here, the gunshot, the
Mm.
ghost, like, blows away in the fan, and then we've got this hero shot of Dean with the shotgun standing in front of the fan as the smoke drifts out of the barrel. Fantastic, love it. Um,
And
they're chasing
I love that one comment, "You're one hell of a PA."
yeah, as Dean is standing over this writer he's just saved, "You're one hell of a PA." Excuse me. They start trying to talk to Walter, like, "Dude, you don't wanna do this. This is not a good idea." And he's like, "They destroy your stuff, and they want you to smile and say thank you. Like, I don't wanna hurt you. You can go ahead, go away. I just wanna kill this guy, and then I'll be fine." And they're like, "No, we can't let you hurt him. We know he's a dick, but we can't let you hurt him." Um, Dean is like, "We like him or anything. It's a matter of principle."
Principal. I love that.
Walter holds up his talisman again. He does this Latin incantation. Um, and we're about to have an electronics flicker here. We've got this kind of long rumble. I guess because there wasn't a then, they have some extra time. So this rumble, and now we've got the three remaining ghosts, live ghosts, on the set.
Live ghost. Isn't that an oxymoron?
It is indeed, it is indeed, but four people died on set, they put one to rest. Here's the other three. They disappear, um, they toss Sam, a distance, sadly not into a wall, but they toss him a distance. Now we've got our electronics flicker as these
Flicker.
lights explode. They've I love this.
I love they think they're in a
To
room. It's
work,
like
but
it's like
it's
you
only got
do know
3
that there's
walls.
another opening to this, right? It's a
The
set.
whole set. I think it cracks me up every time. So they're like, "Oh, crap, this isn't gonna work now." So Dean reloads his shotgun, and all of a sudden, Sam's got this idea, like, "Okay, we can't see them with our naked eyes, but we know that they show up on camera." So he pulls his camera phone out of his pocket and he starts using it to scan the room. And then every time he spots a ghost, he points it out and Dean shoots. So this is kind of a fun little setup here where he's holding the camera for Dean and kind of pointing out the ghosts, which are polite enough to only come at them one at a time, which is very considerate of them. Because they're giving Dean plenty of time to reload, and that's what you want to see from your ghosts. That's very
Of
thoughtful.
course.
But Sam hands the phone to the writer, and he's like, "Get the idea here." He goes after Walter, just like
Ooh.
back in Faith with the preacher's wife, he they break Walter breaks the talisman and he thinks, "Okay, you can't stop me now." And Sam is like, "Yeah, you just freed them and they're not gonna be happy." So just like the preacher's wife with the Reaper, the ghosts come straight for Walter. And he
Yeah.
gets knocked down, and this is kind of you just see, like, the blood start to
Oh.
soak through his shirt. I think this is pretty cool actually, where, like, you can't see it at first, but then the writer, like, picks up the phone, and so you can see just the body getting torn apart in the foreground and the ghosts, like, ripping him apart
Oh.
in the camera, and I think that's a pretty cool shot. And all of this makes it into the movie. So there's been a rewrite. We've got a new draft, and sure enough, here's the camera
Oh.
phone. and you can hear this, like, quarter load, so, like, it sounds so cool in the episode, but in real life, anything indoors, they just put, like, enough to make a little pop, and so
I
it's
love
very
that Sam's
sort of
look, like, "Are you
underwhelming.
fucking kidding with me? You find out there's an afterlife and this is what you do with it?"
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, if we can whore anything out, we're gonna do it. Cut
And then you
to
see the
Tara
whole
Benchley's
trailer
whole
shaking.
trailer is, "If this trailer's rocking, don't come a knocking." Dean hops out, and we get a repeat of this line, "You are one hell of a PA," and he's like, "Oh, thank you." So,
But
yeah, so
is
Dean
it
and Tara
just
were
me? But I'm sorry I cut you off. I apologize. I genuinely do. That trailer was just rocking
yes.
a millisecond ago.
Yep.
And then he pops out. It's like,
He's
really?
yeah, fully dressed, not even sweaty, no cuddling. They walk off into the sunset, but it's all Hollywood bullshit. So the scene, it's literally a backdrop gets rolled out of the way. Keep watching, keep watching, keep watching. This hot person walks by Dean, and he turns to check her out. So he literally just rolled off of Tara seconds before, grabs himself to something to eat, and is checking out another woman immediately. And
Oh,
that is our episode.
and we didn't get a Sammy. God damn it. Sorry,
We
Lori.
did not get a Sammy. Let's see here. We have an electronics flicker, a seriously, an awesome, and a lore. And one of the boys have sex. So I have Sam or Dean have sex. Uh,
Let's see
no
here.
one, if someone had gotten knocked out, I would have 5 in a row, but I don't. There's an
Uh,
electronics flicker, an awesome. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I.
tragically,
Uh,
tragically, I am 1 square away. If only Sam had gotten knocked out when they threw him.
yeah, or if just he had said Sammy.
Yeah, there are no Sammys in this episode, tragically.
Uh,
But let's before we talk about the cards too much, let's
yep.
drink to our
Cheers.
last round here.
I say I didn't have one, but I can't let you drink alone.
Mm.
That would
Out
just be
of all
sad.
that, you didn't have one. Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh, all right. Well, let's see.
So, so I had one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I had eight
All
and
right.
four in a row.
All right. So you have 8 total and 4 in a row. I also have 4 in a row. And let's see, 2, 6, 8. No, let me try that again. 2, 4. Maths are hard. I have 8 total. So we have we are tied.
Yes. So
We
that
don't
deserves a
often
toast.
tie. I think we should celebrate
I think we should too.
to our
Cheers.
tie. Hmm. Okay. One thing you loved and one thing you hated.
All right. So I got two things that bug the hell out of me.
Okay, bring it.
Well, number one, and I just said that it bugged the hell out of me that literally that her trailer is visibly shaking, and an
It,
eighth of a second later, he popped out. He's not even like doing up his zipper or straightening his shirt. Nothing.
he is straightening his shirt, but it's nothing. It's like a
Yeah, yeah. like
It's
that,
not like
like,
a, I
not
was just
like
banging a hot chick.
yeah, no, like, come on, it just doesn't work for me. Like, his hair's not
No.
rustled, like, nothing,
Nope. Nope.
nothing. And the other thing that really bothered me was he got on that set way they got he got on that set way too easily. Like,
Security is clearly a little light at Hellhazer. The Hellhazer
yeah,
2 set.
because like he's like, there's no way he actually knew what he was talking about. He didn't even know what a PA was, let alone what they did. So how no one picked up that he was completely bullshitting it, and also he was just sitting there eating the whole time? Come on.
Yeah,
Come on. No
it was
one
in the
called him
script.
out on it? Come on. That's bullshit.
Yeah, it was in the script. I will be honest, I have no experience as a PA. I have no knowledge of being a PA. I'm sure everybody has a first day. But he does make friends and influence people very quickly. Like you're right. He goes from sort of having no idea what's going on to, being one hell of a PA
Yeah.
in in a couple seconds flat.
So
All right, how about something you loved?
the makeup job on especially that one ghost where his face is pretty much blown off.
Spaghetti face, yeah.
To get that makeup job was amazing.
That is some fantastic special effects. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I suspect it's something where your practical effects, your makeup appliances of people and your visual effects, your CGI artists are working in concert to
Yeah.
get that look. But yeah, with the budget that they had, that is some incredible work. I would agree with that. Okay, for me, and I mentioned this. So this is written by Ben Edlund, and I think that it's in an episode that's just absolutely packed with meta moments. I think the biggest meta moment of them all is that Ben Edlund wrote a script about a script writer who goes on a murder spree to kill all of the studio execs and the producers and the directors and the writers who destroyed his script. And it just, I think it's some genius writing, and they managed to pack so much into this episode that if you're knowledgeable about kind of what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm sure there's a ton of stuff I never even mentioned that it's just I think it's a really cleverly written script. And they take the opportunity to really kind of poke fun at themselves, which I think is great. I had a really hard time coming up with something I hated. I see what you're pointing out about, there's a couple of things that like the timing sort of doesn't make sense. But the only thing I could really come up with that was a disappointment for me was this is the first episode in the series in which baby does not appear. So there is no rumble of a 327 engine coming around the corner, and that makes me sad. Okay, well, that is last call, which I am going to take advantage of.
Yeah.
So,
Me
cheers. I
too.
think I splashed a little. Oopsie.
Yeah. Well, I know you and I have slightly different senses of humor when it comes to these episodes, whereas these are not really my cup of tea, and I know you enjoy them much more than I do.
I I think, yeah. At some point, we should probably have a conversation about that, in like a bonus episode or something. But because it's, I just laughed my ass off through this entire episode. I think it's hysterical. Um, and yeah, the ones that are a little more meta, you seem to not enjoy as much. And in all honesty, part of what I love about episodes like this is I know the foundation it lays for episodes that we'll see later on, and that gives them an extra special place in my heart, even if the script itself is not necessarily the best. I know what it launches.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is last call once again. So thanks for coming along with us for the ride. If you like what we're doing here, be sure to tell your friends. Please also like our videos and subscribe so it's easier for other people to find us too.
Yeah, and please, if you want to see bonus episodes, either send us an email or leave us a comment for topics for to put in Ask Jared, so that way we have an excuse to sit down with a couple of cocktails, be completely unscripted, and make a complete ass out of ourselves as we try to answer all of them as we've had multiple cocktails.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know. We love hearing from our SPN family. Comment, send us an email at hunterfuelpodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hunter Fuel Podcast. In our next episode, we will be watching season 2, episode 19, Folsom Prison Blues, when the boys find themselves with a tiny problem on their hands. Until then, be safe, everybody. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.